they think, well, because I'm an introvert, I can never be in a position of leadership because that's high visibility. It requires a lot of, public speaking and things like that. And, that's just not me. And so I wanted to talk about that with folks, because just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you can't be in a position of leadership. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another random walk. I'm Elaine, and today's random walk is in Arizona on the Black Canyon Trail in Prescott National Forest. I'm in Arizona this week on vacation to visit my folks and just have a good, restful, recharging break. Last week, I was in Houston at Johnson Space Center, and I was hoping to do a video out there, but it was just too exhausting because we had a large face-to-face event, and by the time I got to the evenings, I was just way too tired. And so one of the rules that I had for myself when starting this project was to always keep it fun and keep it enjoyable, and just trying to do things like create videos and pump out content and everything when I'm just not feeling the energy and not in that good energy state where I know it's not going to be a good experience, is not what I'm going for. So decided to just postpone. I had this vacation planned anyway, so I was going to take the opportunity to just come out here in the middle of the desert and walk and talk with you all and talk all about it. I'm originally from Arizona, so it's nice to always come back here. There's just nothing like coming back to the desert when you're from the Southwest. And when I got here, it was raining, and just the smell of the desert after it has rained is just I feel like one of the most amazing smells ever. So it was nice to have those rainstorms, which have pushed through, and now it's really, really sunny out, as you can see. But I always love walking the trails out here because I love being under this large open sky. Living in cities and living on the East Coast, where a lot of the trails are tree tunnels, where you have a lot of greenery and a lot of trees. The trees are nice and everything, but you don't get this large open sky, which I really enjoy and I really love. So thought this was a perfect location for walking with you all. And so I wanted to talk about last week and why it was such a energetically draining kind of week. And that's because, so at work, I am in a position of leadership. I'm a division director and had planned a face-to-face event for my team. And it was really good. It was really a positive experience, just bringing everybody together in the same physical location and focus on community building and focusing on just those interactions with the team and building experiences together, which was great. But also it was extremely draining energy wise. And I knew it would be because I am an introvert, and I always tell people I'm a proud introvert. I always, no problem telling the world that. But I knew that this event was going to be very energetically draining because I was helping to organize everything. I was doing the emceeing for the event, and it was a 2-day event, and it was just a lot. I knew it was going to be a lot. So the evenings I needed to do a lot of just recovery, and it just was a lot of energy that was being given up. And so that's why I wanted to talk about, because a lot of people are sometimes surprised to find out I'm an introvert. And when I talk to students a lot too, that's something that they're always concerned about, because sometimes they think, they're early career or haven't even started their careers yet, and they think, well, because I'm an introvert, I can never be in a position of leadership, because that's high visibility. It requires a lot of, public speaking and things like that. And, that's just not me. And so I wanted to talk about that with folks, because just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you can't be in a position of leadership. For me, it just means managing and being aware of my energy in different ways. So, for example, even though I'm an introvert, I still enjoy public speaking. I have no problem being put up there on the lectern with a microphone, speaking to large auditoriums of crowds and things like that. I've had to do high profile media events, and those take a lot of time, a lot of energy. They can be nerve-wracking when you're in the experience, but it's something that I can do and I've learned to do over time. And then even like performing in front of a crowd isn't a problem, because like, for example, at the face-to-face event, one evening we had a little like evening social, and I was with the group and we were doing karaoke. And so they were like really surprised that I got up there and sang a couple of songs and put a lot of energy into it, like made a little performance out of it, which is like totally goofy, totally fun. That's the whole point of karaoke, right? Like nobody's taking that seriously, but it's all about, team bonding and fun. And so, yeah, being an introvert doesn't mean that you can't do those things. It just means managing the energy differently. So, for me, what takes my energy, and I know that's what will pull energy away from me, is like really large group events where it's a lot of interaction with a group. When you're speaking on a stage, it's a little bit different, because you're focusing on your words, and in a way I kind of don't really see the crowd because it's just this nebulous thing out there. So speaking in front of an audience isn't as big of a deal, but group interaction with large groups of people, that's where I know I'm going to give up a lot of energy in those interactions, and I'll need to like spend some time recovering. So yeah, some of the tips that I have for folks that want to be in leadership or move into a position of leadership and are introverts and are concerned about these kinds of things. First thing is to know that you don't have to do everything alone. It's not all on you to play every role and do everything. And what I find is that I rely on people who are extroverts, because they have a skill set that I don't have. And so it can be really helpful to kind of team up with them and utilize their strong skill set to help in working through these like large group interactions. So for example, just anytime I was like working on leading a team meeting or something like that, having those extroverts there who are able to help start a conversation, or even simple things like pulling a group of people together where, when you're coming back from a break in the agenda and you need to pull everybody back into the meeting room to start the conversation again. The extroverts are great at doing that. They're great at reaching out to people, like just making sure like everybody's there, things like that. So yeah, and then also they're great at helping to start conversations. So if an idea is put out there, they're really great at helping to kick off that conversation. And the introverts like me are usually thinking about all of the inputs and everything and processing it internally, and then speaking once we have a thought formulated to talk about. So yeah, team up with the extroverts in your life, and just rely on their strengths and skills when you can. Also build in breaks and space just for mindfulness and just for that like check-in time. Everybody needs breaks, no matter who you are. You can't spend days in meetings and interactions with people and not take breaks. So it's actually important for everybody to take breaks, but this is where like the introverts of the world can really shine and be like, okay, I think it's like we've reached a point where we've been going for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like, everybody, it's time for a break. Let's just take a break, take a minute, and just have that time and space, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, and then regroup. And it's really, really helpful for just, even if it's a few moments of just mindfully checking in. Also doing what I'm doing this week, which is planning recovery. So I know large group events are always going to take a lot of my energy, and I'm aware of that. And then I plan my recovery from those events accordingly. So it just worked out really well that I had this vacation plan right after the big face-to-face event that I held with my team. And it was the best thing ever. I think I'm just going to make this like a personal best practice to plan for longer recoveries after bigger events. And it's almost like the bigger the event, the more recovery that is needed. When I got home on a Friday after the week of events and everything. And I was just drained. In fact, I feel like I didn't do anything over the weekend because my energy level was just at the absolute bottom. It was like I could not do anything. I couldn't work on any ideas for videos. I couldn't work on any creative projects or anything like that. It was just kind of being in this state of, I just need to rest and recover. And now that I'm at about a week later, I'm starting to feel like my old self again. I'm starting to feel like, okay, back to my everyday self, back to my everyday energy levels. So yeah, just know when you're going to have those large events that are going to suck up a lot of energy to plan your recovery time in as well. And then the last tip I have is to just talk about it, like I'm doing here. Like I said, I am a proud introvert. I have no problem telling people, in meetings and things like that. People are usually shocked to find this out. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, this stuff wears me out as a human being. This stuff wears me out. And it's not something to be ashamed of. For me, I tell people it's just how my brain is wired. It's how we're born. Some people are highly extroverted, some people are highly introverted, and there's like this whole range and spectrum in between. It's taken me a long time to figure out like where I fit, where my skills lie, and where my weaknesses are, and just planning accordingly. But just talking about it openly and letting others know that it's totally okay. And I feel like being in a position of leadership means openly talking about these things, because you never know who's receiving the message in the audience, and you never know that you might reach that one person that really needed to hear that really needed to hear that message. just to think about it, internalize it, be like, oh my gosh, somebody else feels this way. It's okay that I feel this way too. And even if it's just one person that you're able to reach, and you may not even know it, you may never know if a message is received from somebody in the audience, but if the possibility is there that it can help somebody out to feel better, and just to feel like they're not alone, that people are like this, human beings are like this, that it is okay, then that means everything. And I personally feel that that is our responsibility as people who are in roles of leadership in organizations, just to talk about things like this so that others can hear that message and maybe feel better, because it's all about how we relate as human beings, and understanding ourselves and understanding other people and other people that we interact with. So yeah, so just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you can't be in high visibility, high positions of leadership. It just means that you have to recognize what needs to be managed as far as energy levels, where your limitations may lie, and where you may need to rely on other people for help, because we can't do it alone. We always need help from other people. It takes a team effort to do things, to do great things, and to just be part of that whole effort together, as a group and as a team. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for joining me on this random walk through the Arizona desert. Through Arizona, don't worry, I have my water with me. Every Arizonan knows to do this, no matter how far you're going. But yeah, thank you for visiting my home state with me, and I'll see you on the next random walk.